Every forest begins with a single seed. Every fortune begins with a single decision. Imagine walking through an old mango orchard just after sunrise. The morning air is cool. Birds sing from the tallest branches. Golden sunlight slips gently through thousands of green leaves. Some trees are over 50 years old. They continue producing fruit. Year after year. Season after season. Without asking for another salary. Without requesting a promotion. Without attending a single meeting. They simply continue giving. Now imagine walking a few steps further. The ground is covered with weeds. Nobody planted them. Nobody wanted them. Yet every day, they quietly steal water, nutrients, sunlight, space. One side of the orchard creates life. The other silently consumes it. Money works exactly the same way. Every financial decision you make either plants another fruit tree or another weed. Welcome to Hypermedia University, where ideas become understanding. Understanding becomes action, and action becomes transformation. Today's lesson from Invest Life System may become one of the most important financial lessons you'll ever learn. Not because it teaches investing, but because it changes the way you see everything you buy. The house you live in, the car you drive, the phone you upgrade, the investments you make, even the skills you learn. By the end of today's lesson, you'll stop asking, "Can I afford it?" and start asking, "Is this planting another fruit tree or another weed?" If building lasting wealth matters to you, stay with this financial freedom blueprint. Because today's lesson has quietly changed millions of financial lives around the world. Rahul and Arjun were driving through the countryside. The city skyline had disappeared behind them. After almost an hour, Arjun turned onto a narrow road lined with mango trees. Rahul looked outside. "This place is beautiful." Arjun smiled. "It belonged to my grandfather." They stepped out of the car. The orchard stretched farther than Rahul could see. Some trees were enormous. Others had only recently been planted. A few tiny saplings stood protected by wooden fences. Rahul noticed something. There are trees of every age. Arjun nodded. Exactly. Just like investments. They walked slowly between the rows. Arjun stopped beside an old mango tree. "My grandfather planted this tree nearly 40 years ago. He watered it, protected it, waited patiently. He never became rich overnight. But this single tree has produced fruit for decades. It has fed our family. It has generated income. It has created shade. And today, it continues working." Arjun gently placed his hand on the trunk. "This is an asset." Rahul looked confused. "A tree." Arjun smiled. "No. The lesson. In boardrooms, executives often ask one question before approving any investment. Will this create value in the future? Notice something. They rarely ask, will this make us look successful? They ask, will this continue creating value? That is the mindset of wealth creation. Simple English. Buy things that continue helping your future, not just your present. As they continued walking, Rahul noticed a patch of weeds growing rapidly around one of the young trees. Without saying a word, Arjun began pulling them out. Rahul asked, "Why bother? They're only small." Arjun smiled again. "So are bad financial decisions." He held up one tiny weed. "Left alone. This doesn't look dangerous. But give it enough time. It quietly steals everything meant for the tree." Rahul suddenly understood. So, a liability works the same way. Arjun nodded. Exactly. A liability isn't dangerous because of one payment. It's dangerous because of thousands of payments. One EMI. One subscription. One unnecessary upgrade. One impulse purchase. None of them seem important. But together, they slowly consume the resources that could have grown your assets. Rahul looked back at the healthy mango tree, then at the weeds. For the first time, he wasn't looking at a garden. He was looking at his bank statement. Rahul stood quietly. He looked around the orchard once more. Some trees were carrying hundreds of ripe mangoes. Others were still young. Yet every single tree had one thing in common. Someone had believed in its future, long before it produced its first fruit. Arjun looked at Rahul. Do you know why most people never become wealthy? Rahul smiled. They don't invest. Arjun shook his head. No. They don't recognize the difference between buying and building. Every morning, thousands of people leave home carrying two invisible bags. One bag is called income. The other, choices. Throughout the day, every financial decision places something into one of those bags. A new phone, a vacation, a business course, a dividend-paying investment, a rental property, a luxury watch, a book, a stock, a new skill. None of these decisions are automatically good or bad. The question is different. Which ones continue giving, even after you've stopped paying for them? There is an old saying in business. Don't confuse price with value. Boardroom meaning. Price is what you pay. Value is what you receive over time. Simple English. A 500 book that changes your career may be worth far more than a 5 lakh luxury purchase. Because one keeps giving, the other keeps costing. That is the difference between an expense and an investment. Rahul picked up a fallen mango. He smiled. This fruit is today's income. Arjun nodded. Exactly. And what is the tree? The system that keeps producing tomorrow's income. Rahul laughed. So all these years, I've been chasing mangoes instead of planting trees. Arjun smiled. And now you're asking better questions. Imagine entering the boardroom of one of the world's most respected companies. The chief financial officer stands up. He doesn't begin by asking, what should we buy this year? He asks, what assets should we build this year? That question alone has created some of the world's most valuable companies. Now imagine beginning every new year with your family by asking the same question. Not, where shall we go on vacation? But, which new asset will our family own this year? Perhaps, a new investment, a rental property, a professional certification, a digital product, a business, or even a healthier body. Because good health may be the greatest productive asset you'll ever own. A tired mind cannot create wealth. An unhealthy body cannot enjoy it. True assets are not only financial. Some are intellectual. Some are physical. Some are emotional. Some are relational. The richest people quietly invest in all of them. Rahul paused. So, is my home an asset? Arjun smiled. The answer surprises many people. If your home generates income, it behaves like an asset. If it only requires maintenance, taxes, interest, repairs, without creating cash flow, financially speaking, it behaves differently. Rahul looked puzzled. So should nobody buy a house? Arjun laughed. No. A house can be one of life's greatest emotional investments. It provides safety, It creates memories. It gives stability. But don't confuse emotional value with financial cash flow. The two can exist together, but they are not always the same. This is why wealthy people evaluate purchases from multiple perspectives: financial, emotional, lifestyle, long-term, risk, opportunity. That is called multidimensional decision making. Simple English. Good decisions consider more than one benefit. Arjun bent down beside a young mango sapling. He poured a small bucket of water around its roots. Rahul watched carefully. You still water the young trees. Every week. Even after all these years. Arjun smiled. Especially after all these years. Because planting is only the beginning. Maintenance creates greatness. The same applies to investments. Buying a mutual fund once isn't wealth building. Reviewing it. Learning continuously. Staying invested during difficult times. Avoiding emotional decisions. Those actions grow forests, not portfolios. There is another corporate expression. Cash flow is reality. Companies can report impressive profits, yet collapse because they run out of cash. Individuals experience the same thing. A high salary means very little if every rupee leaves before the month ends. Cash flow is the oxygen of every business and every household. Arjun looked toward the oldest tree in the orchard. My grandfather planted hundreds of these. Rahul asked quietly. Did he know they'd become this valuable? Arjun smiled. No. He simply trusted the process. And that's another lesson wealthy people understand. You don't need certainty. To begin, you need consistency. Because uncertainty disappears only after action begins. Then Arjun pointed toward the horizon. Look carefully. Rahul noticed something. Beyond the orchard, another family was planting new trees. Children were helping. Grandparents were smiling. Nobody expected fruit tomorrow. Yet everyone worked with joy. Why? Because they weren't planting for today. They were planting for generations. Arjun spoke softly. That is how wealthy families think. They don't ask, what will this give me this year? They ask, what will this create for my children? And their children. That is called generational thinking. Boardroom language. Intergenerational value creation. Simple English. Build something that continues helping people. Even after you're gone. Arjun slowly stood up. The evening breeze moved gently through the orchard. Thousands of leaves whispered together. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Rahul looked around once more. He had walked through this orchard for almost 2 hours. Yet somehow, he felt as though he had walked through his own financial life. Every tree represented a decision. Every branch, a habit. Every fruit, a reward that arrived years after the work was done. He smiled. I think I finally understand. Arjun looked at him. What do you understand? Rahul answered slowly. Assets aren't things. They're relationships. Arjun raised an eyebrow. Rahul continued. A relationship between today's sacrifice and tomorrow's reward. Arjun smiled proudly. Now you're beginning to think like an investor. As they walked toward the exit, Rahul suddenly stopped. He looked back at the oldest mango tree. Your grandfather planted this, knowing he might never enjoy its greatest harvest. Arjun nodded. He planted it anyway. Why? Arjun looked toward the tree for a long moment. Because he understood something our generation often forgets. We don't own the future. We prepare it. That sentence stayed with Rahul. Perhaps That sentence would stay with him for the rest of his life. There is an expression, often used by great leaders. Plant trees under whose shade you may never sit. In boardrooms, this is called long-term value creation. In everyday life, it means making decisions that continue helping people long after you're gone. Think about it. Education is an asset. Health is an asset. Trust is an asset. A reputation built over decades is an asset. Strong relationships are assets. Knowledge is an asset. A business is an asset. An investment portfolio is an asset. Anything that continues creating value, without demanding your constant effort, is slowly moving you toward freedom. Now, let's turn the camera toward you. Imagine your financial life is an orchard. Walk through it quietly. What do you see? Are there fruit trees? Skills that keep increasing your value? Investments quietly growing every month? Healthy habits? Strong relationships? Or do you see weeds? Impulse buying? Unnecessary debt? Subscriptions you no longer use? Lifestyle upgrades that never truly made you happier? Financial decisions made only to impress others? Don't judge yourself. Every orchard has weeds. The question isn't whether weeds exist. The question is, will you remove them before they choke tomorrow's harvest? Rahul opened his notebook. For the first time, he didn't write a financial goal. He wrote a promise. Before I buy anything, I will ask one question. Will this become another fruit tree or another weed? One simple question. One new habit. One different future. If today's lesson has changed the way you look at money, don't let it remain just another video. Tonight, take a sheet of paper. Draw 2 columns. On one side, write, the trees I'm growing. On the other, write, the weeds I'm feeding. Be honest. Not perfect. Honest. Because awareness is always the first investment. Action is the second. If you're finding value in this financial freedom blueprint, I invite you to continue this journey with us. Subscribe to Invest Life System, not because we upload videos, but because every episode is another lesson in building a stronger life. If today's story reminded you of someone, a friend, a colleague, a family member, share this episode with them. Sometimes, one conversation changes an entire financial future. Rahul and Arjun finally reached the car. Rahul opened the door, then paused. Arjun, I've spent years trying to earn more. I think from today, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to build more. Arjun smiled. Good. But remember, a single tree doesn't become a forest. Rahul looked curious. What do you mean? Arjun started the engine. One asset is good, but financial freedom is built by forests, not trees. Rahul looked out of the window as the orchard slowly disappeared into the distance. For the first time, he wasn't thinking about his next salary. He was thinking about his first forest. The road stretched ahead. The sun dipped below the horizon. And somewhere in the distance, another lesson was waiting. In our next episode, multiple income streams, why one salary is the biggest financial risk. Because one tree may feed a family, but a forest creates generations of abundance. Remember, income pays today's bills. Assets build tomorrow's freedom. Systems create lasting wealth. But wisdom is knowing what to plant today. This is Invest Life System. Society, Wealth, Business, Career, Entrepreneurship. By Annika Siri. Until our next lesson, don't chase fruit. Plant forests.